Good morning. It's a fantastic comfort to be here at the Better Business Summit with so many organisations and individuals who are either about to embark on their journey to do business better, or at least maybe thinking about it, or maybe you're quite far along that journey and just want a few more ideas. It's coming up to 2 years ago now when I was sat on the Faith in Nature board meeting call, and we were asking ourselves a big question. How are we going to grow profitably and put nature front and centre? As a natural, ethical business born in the 70s, our company motto had always been, nature is the boss. On that rainy day in the board meeting, the subject was raised, what if nature really was the boss? And also, what would nature say about the decisions that we are making in this boardroom? And this simple question turned out to be the most valuable question that we could have asked.
So there's an internal philosophy at Faith in Nature that nature is the boss. Recently we started to wonder, well, what if nature really was the boss? It's kind of crazy, but at the same time, we kind of need to be asking crazy questions, I think. It felt right that a company called that should be asking this question. But I can't answer it. So I started digging around, and the more it became apparent that there are people out there who might be able to. So I called them up.
So the plan is to interview you and then stick you to a tree.
So I'm going to be on an iPad stuck on a tree. I mean, I think the idea of making nature a director would probably feel crazy to many lawyers, but I'm a lawyer who is always open to ideas. I believe that the rights of nature will be to the 21st century what human rights were to the 20th. And that makes it a really exciting area to work in. We do need to have nature's voice and nature's interests represented in our legal, political and economic systems. And I realised the ridiculousness of that imbalance when I was sitting under a yew tree that was thousands of years old. And yet I could go on my phone and in about less than an hour create a company that would have more legal rights and standing than that tree.
Currently, our entire legal system, our economic system, our social systems are very anthropocentric, meaning humans are the center of the universe. And the result of this is that we've left nature out of the conversation. Our laws work to protect humans above nature, as if we are separate from nature, which is not true. And the result of this has been that humans have destroyed nature, exploited it to the maximum extent possible because our laws tell us to do that. So I was very surprised to get this email from Faith in Nature. Rarely do we get a company that wants to integrate rights of nature into their corporate structures.
So the lawyers did their thing, and we did ours. And today, we're making nature the director of our company. Nature has an equal vote, same as any other director, same as the rest of us.
Effectively appointing a director that's representing the voice of nature within the company.
That person is independent of the company, and we've tried really hard to ensure that there's a separation of powers, because it's really important that that director feels able to act in the best interest of nature. It's a huge step to saying everything Faith in Nature does is set out to essentially do no harm, protect nature, to recognise nature, to give nature rights, to give nature power, and to give nature a vote. And that's why this is really important.
From this point onwards, we've very literally put the natural world at our boardroom table. We can't be willfully blind anymore to the impact that we're having on the natural world and on the planet. in what we do. Faith in Nature is the first company in the world to appoint nature to its board of directors. But we don't want to be the last. And it becomes meaningful when it's not just us doing it. The model exists. We're now making that available to whoever wants it in the hope that other companies adopt it too. It would be massive if there was a voice for the natural world in every boardroom of every business on the planet. If business wants to be the good guy, it can be.
So you okay with the iPad thing, Grant?
That sounds fun. Yeah, I'd love to be on a tree somewhere. I'll make it my LinkedIn profile page.
Thank you. And why it matters, really, why does it matter? So the important thing is the mind frame, really. Rather than talking about a mindset, we like to talk about a mind frame, and that mind frame can change. Climate change is the symptom, but our disconnection from nature is the cause, and in business, we have a lot of power to change that relationship and to essentially reframe it. Companies have a huge impact on the natural world, and rarely does nature get a say on how they're run. And this kind of thinking has led us to the brink of ecological collapse, and it needs to change. And it's really about changing the way we think about nature. And we're not treating it really as a resource, but it's central to our decision-making process. And I was just saying to Janine earlier about the chair, it's a really important symbol because actually when you're talking about day-to-day business, the climate is, the market climate is volatile as well as the climate itself. It can be very challenging to make decisions that are decentralized away from all the anxiety that you face in the boardroom. But actually that visual symbol of nature being in the boardroom really can remind you, it's quite a powerful thing because it can remind you that it is not decentralized from your decision making, that nature is actually central to the decision itself. And there are some technical parts, but essentially it's very simple. It's about moving towards a guardianship model, which is absolutely compatible with the normal way of running a business. It's about independence and accountability. It does make you more independent as a business. It makes people more accountable for their own thinking. It involves a purpose clause, and it can strengthen any purpose clause that you might have within your own business. So it can be very valuable for you as a business. And essentially it makes sure that nature has an equal vote in the boardroom, which could make for some very interesting conversations, but definitely a lot more interesting than they used to be. Those things might sound quite technical, but essentially it's a very simple question. Everyone can ask, what would nature say? And by thinking of it in that way, it's an incredibly empowering thing. And essentially, we've all got to start asking this question for us to be able to do business better, which is essentially why we're all here today. It's a question that can easily guide individuals, but also business. And we hope that we can share this model with other businesses and make it super easy for them as well. We have an open source guide on the website. We've got the team here today that can also talk you through any questions that you might have. There's lots of words on this slide which are big words: despair, anxiety, shame, paralysis, and I'm sure that at one point or another we've all felt these feelings and these emotions. But essentially, if we work together to ask this very simple question, we can all do business better. And I'm going to finish now on a bit of a lighter note, because essentially we actually started asking this question before we had the model of nature being on our board, and we had a nice little jingle which will definitely get stuck in your head all day, and you'll be hearing it as a real earworm, so you can blame me for this later.
If you're wondering what to do, take a walk outside, I'll give you a clue. A little thought
think if you can spend today maybe ruminating on that question, hopefully that will give you an idea for the future and something that you can take away from us. But thank you very much.